is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
It is a picture-perfect day here in Goodyear, Arizona. It's spring training baseball as the Cleveland Indians play host to the Milwaukee Brewers in Cactus League action right here on Sports Time, Ohio. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. What an off-season it has been for the Cleveland Indians. Multiple changes, but it all starts at the top, as they say, Rick. And the hiring of manager Terry Francona really set a tone for what has been maybe an unprecedented offseason for the Tribe.
Well, you're absolutely right. Terry comes in here with a different attitude and a new vibe in spring training here. And Nick Swisher was the first sign as a free agent that the Indians went out to get. And at that time, he was going to play right field. They added Reynolds. They added Micah Vilas. And then Michael Bourne was the late sign in camp where it let Swisher come into first base. Bourne goes to center field. They have Stubbs. They have so many new players here that we're looking forward to a very, very good year.
Looking forward to seeing many of those players in today's game, in addition to Ubaldo Jimenez, because he obviously holds a huge key to the Indians' fortunes in 2013.
Well, the number 2 starter in the rotation, he has to tighten the ship a little bit. This is going to be a key year for him, stepping up. He walked too many guys last year, second in the league in walks, led the league in wild pitches. This guy has to come in. They tightened his delivery a little bit where it's not herky-jerky, and 9-17 record with his stuff is not accountable. He's got to do better than that, step up for the plate, and hopefully Ubaldo comes out and can pitch like he's capable of pitching.
We'll take a look at Ubaldo Jimenez and the new look Cleveland Indians here today on Sports Time Ohio, and stay tuned because the first pitch and all the action is straight ahead, and Terry Francona will join us coming up during the ball game as well. Back here in Goodyear, the Indians have just taken the field behind Ubaldo Jimenez on this, the 18th of March. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we will open the 2013 season when the Indians take on the Blue Jays in Toronto. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Ron Renicke's Milwaukee Brewers. Nori Aoki will lead off. He's in right field. Then Carlos Gomez, the center fielder, in the 2-hole, followed by Ricky Weeks at second base. Aramis Ramirez at third will bat cleanup. Then Logan Schaefer in left field will hit fifth. Gene Segura, good-looking young player at shortstop, will hit sixth. Taylor Green will DH and bat seventh. Blake Lally at first, hitting eighth. And Dayton Buller will catch and bat ninth.
Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound for the Indians, making his fifth spring start, and his ERA is up over 5. But you don't worry about ERAs, you worry about deliveries, getting outs, and Ubaldo Jimenez hopefully going to pound the strike zone. They've shortened that delivery up a little bit, where last year it used to be a little herky-jerky. And with Jimenez's stuff, he has good enough stuff to get big league hitters out. Let's see if he can pound the strike zone and make these guys swing the bats. Defensively behind Jimenez, it looks like this. This is almost opening day lineup. Let's go. Michael Brantley in left, Michael Bourne in center. Drew Stubbs is in right. There'll be Lonnie Chisenhall at third, as Drupal Cabrera at short. Jason Kipnis is at second. Nick Swisher at first. Lou Marson behind the plate. The only guy not here is Carlos Santana. Of course, he's still at the WBC.
Patrick Mahoney will call the balls and strikes. Tony Randazzo, Bruce Dreckman, and Jordan Baker will work the bases. Also missing from the Indians, doesn't figure to be an everyday starting player, but Mike Aviles, a key acquisition in the offseason, will play the utility role, fill the utility role. He's still in the WBC as well. Nori Aoki leading off for Milwaukee. It's a ground ball by Chisenhall, and it's into left field, and Aoki is aboard to start the game for Milwaukee.
Well, that's why they want him up there to lead off this year. He's a guy that makes good contact. They want him to get on base. He doesn't swing and miss a lot, but takes a high fastball the other way and slaps it by Chisenhall into left field to get him started.
Chisenhall into left field to get him started with a base hit.
Brewers were sold on Aoki despite the fact they never actually saw him play in person. But the reports were so good that they decided to take a chance, and it's been a good move for them. Here's Carlos Gomez. And the former Minnesota Twin looks at a ball outside. He's had a good spring, Rick, batting .458.
Well, this guy signed a new 3-year deal. They had him for 1 more year under contract before
signed by the Indians. Sort of forced the Brewers to go out and maybe get a little aggressive and sign him. There's that big swing that we saw so often in Minnesota. He's a big kid, and it looks like
compared to when we saw him early in his career with Minnesota, he's filling into that big body now.
Well, we remember him when he played in Minnesota, coming over for the Johan Santana trade. And he played a little bit out of control. The guy can run like the wind. He's got great speed. He had some power, but you would figure his job would be get on base, steal bases, make things happen. But he has always liked to swing for the fences. But last year, a solid season.
Runner goes. Jimenez with a pitch up and in, and Marson's throw not in time.
Well, no chance. He guessed absolutely right. That's one thing, again, that Jimenez, you can do. You can run on him as they did last year. Look at the jump. He started, stopped, and restarted again. He thought he was going to step off. He did not do it. He goes in standing up with a stolen base.
And so Aoki in scoring position for Gomez. With nobody out here in the top half of the first, and the 2-2 is swung. Did he go? He did not. Gomez nearly chased after it, but able to hold up and a full count.
Breaking ball down and away. No, he did not. The hands got out in front. Got the barrel head of that bat back.
And on the 3-2, he strikes him out. One away here in the top half of the first.
Comes back with a high fastball right there in the zone. That was a good pitch. Tough one to take when you have 2 strikes, and throws it right by Gomez. So he gets the strikeout and the first out in the inning.
So a runner at second with 1 out for Ricky Weeks. Weeks hitting .344 on the spring. But you talk about learning something about yourself. A year ago, he was batting 190 a couple of months into the season. But he hit 282 over his last 65 games to bump that average up to 230.
You know, when you start a year out like that, Matt, you don't want to look at the scoreboard that's posted, you know, your batting average, because there's no way, you can only go up. You have just got to almost like say, draw a line in the sand and start the season over and forget about your first month and a half, 2 months.
The 2-0 check. He went around. And the hard part about that, Rick, is that people want to ask you about your struggles all the time. So it's tough to tough to forget about it and put it out of your mind.
You know, especially when you're vital to the offense. You know, he was leading off. His job is to get on base for the big boppers when they had well, last year they didn't have Prince Fielder, but Ryan Braun and the power hitters. Your job to get on base. That's why they like to move him down a little bit. And they're putting Aoki in that leadoff spot. But he just certainly look at the power numbers, 29 and 30 home runs the last few seasons. But the average went down.
You know, Ryan Braun figures to bat in that 3-hole when the season begins, because he's one of the best in baseball, batting in the 3rd spot in the order. Sky high pop on the infield. Swisher calls off Jimenez, and the Indians' first baseman has it for out number 2.
There's the hanger right there. That was almost like a backup breaking ball. Marson was sitting away. That ball comes back in, and he popped it straight up. You don't expect the breaking ball to stay there. You're looking down and away for it. He popped it up.
Here now is Aramis Ramirez. His first year in Milwaukee last season, batted 300, had 100 ribbies, 7th time in his career, 25 homers for the 10th time. So I mean, you talk about a guy who gave him exactly what they expected. Another sky high pop, this time the left side of the infield. Cabrera, the shortstop, up on the hill, makes the catch to retire the side. No runs ahead, 1 man left. Indians coming to bat when we return. Back here on a warm day in Goodyear, Arizona. No score, bottom of the 1st inning, and here's a look at Terry Francona's starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Michael Bourne will lead it off in center field, then is Drupal Cabrera, followed by Jason Kipnis, then Nick Swisher batting cleanup, then Michael Brantley, Mark Reynolds the DH hitting 6th, Alani Chisenhall 7th, and Drew Stubbs and Lou Marson will bat 9th.
29-year-old Marco Estrada makes the start. He made 23 starts for the Brewers last year. He was 5-7, 3.64 ERA, but he does have more than the strikeout per inning. He's got a great changeup. He's got that mixes with a curveball, and you can see him get his fastball, and he'll get his strikeouts with fastballs up in the strike zone because of his good changeup. Let's set the defense behind him this afternoon. It looks like this from left to right. It'll be Schaefer, Gomez, and Aoki. On the infield, it's Ramirez, Segura, Weeks, Lally, and Buller behind the plate.
Michael Bourne will lead it off. And Estrada's pitch is in the dirt for ball one. Bourne's numbers last year with Atlanta, he got off to a hot start. In the first month of the season, he had the 5th highest number of hits in all of Major League Baseball. So when you've got a leadoff man who can get off to a hot start, that certainly makes it nice for the guys who bat behind him.
Well, he was shaking his head there, trying to work on a bunt. You know, in that situation, he's just not happy with himself. When you watch him take batting practice here during the day, he will still go out there and lay down bunts in batting practice, and you can see you want him on because he can steal the base.
Well, this will get him on an opposite field base hit to left center from Michael Bourne. A nice inside out stroke to start the game for the Indians.
Well, there's a good look at it. He gets a fastball out over the plate, stayed on it nicely, hits it in the left center field. And the Indians leadoff hitter starts it off with a base knock.
Now is Drupal Cabrera. Cabrera spent time in the WBC playing for Team Venezuela. He hits one high in the air, deep to center field. Back is Gomez. And he will make the catch. Bourne went back to tag at first, but Gomez smartly played it back to the cutoff man. And there's one out here in the first.
Boy, you can see how the outfielders really have to work on getting themselves and playing that ball off to the side of the sunshine. With the glasses down, they utilize that glove, try and get into position. Some very tough sun fields here. Look at him. He's on the side. He's got his glove up. He's got glasses down. Knowing that you have speed on base, you just want to catch it.
Now here is Jason Kipnis.
There it is. He's on the side, the glasses, and there's the glove. Then you have to utilize that glove because there is not a cloud in the sky today to help you out on that perception of where the ball is at.
Marco Estrada delivers, and that pitch missing up high. During the regular season, you figure that Cabrera would probably take a pitch or two to give Michael Bourne a chance to take off and run.
Well, that's going to be something that they're going to have to work together. Sometimes you would think so, but if Cabrera knows a pitcher and he's going to start him off with a fastball or a pitch he likes, and he's going to have to swing. But that's something that develops over the course of the year, where they may come up with a sign, or Bourne may have a sign knowing when he wants to run in certain counts and certain pitches. So that's where the number 1 and 2 hitter have to talk amongst themselves to get something going.
You stole your fair share of bags during your playing career. During spring training, though, you don't want to beat your body up. So you just try to find your timing, and you maybe steal a couple for confidence, and then that's it.
And it's usually later in the spring where you can get your footwork together. Some of these fields can be a little hard when you slide. You don't want to start the year out with the strawberries on your hips or your knees. That comes during the year. But you do, you want to get a feel. You want to work on getting your leads, and later in the spring, get a couple bags just for your confidence.
2-1 to Kipnis now. It's fouled right back. So that'll even it up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Jason Kipnis, another solid season last year. But when you talk to Terry Francona and other members of the coaching staff, they just feel like that with some of the other veteran hitters, it'll take some of the burden. A snap throw and a close play at first. Bourne just did get back.
Boy, quick move to first base. Talk about that. Bourne just took his step on. He was not expecting him to come over there. He got rid of it in a hurry.
And a face full of leather on that slap tag as well. 2-2 up high. And as I was saying, I think that they're feeling that with some of the other hitters, it'll take some of the burden off of Kipnis.
Sure it will. I mean, and Santana and
Cabrera,
the guys. Yeah, I mean, when you're surrounded by good hitters, that you feed off each other. And I think there were a lot of points in time last year where hitters felt like if the top part or the middle part of that lineup didn't score, they weren't going to score again until the next time they came up. And that's not a good feeling.
Runner was off on the pitch, fouled back out of play.
Sometimes hitters have a tendency to do too much, you know, and like you talked about it last year, you go 2 for 1. You can't. You got a job at hand. Jason is a guy that's going to get better. He's very young in his career.
Yeah, already among the top offensive second basemen.
I think the biggest surprise for me was defensively for Jason.
Bourne is off, and it's ball 4. So 2 on with 1 out here in the first inning on a very good at bat for Jason Kipnis. And now 2 on for Nick Swisher. Now, we talked with Jason Kipnis about his defense and about how hard he worked at it, and he said, I'm still working at it. He goes, I'm never going to just sit back and say, I'm good, I've arrived, and that's just not his personality.
Well, you can't. Just because you went out and what he did, he familiarized himself to that position where, you know, he can go out there and instinctively get into positions where you have to be, because he wasn't a second baseman. He was an outfielder. But now you have to continue to get better in that position.
Nick Swisher a year ago, 24 homers, 93 runs batted in 148 games with the Yankees. He's had a good spring, hitting .455 with 3 home runs and 11 runs batted in. So after spending the last few years training in Central Florida with the Yankees, back here in Arizona and thriving. The 1-0 pitch. Estrada missing again, 2-0. Feels like maybe he's getting squeezed a bit by Patrick Mahoney, the home plate umpire. Now Swisher in a great spot, 2-0. And that missed badly. 3 balls, no strikes with Michael Brantley waiting on deck.
Well, right now Estrada just missing. Missed with the first 2, and then you start trying to be a little too fine. You get a 2-0 count and a guy that can hit one out of the ballpark. You certainly don't want to just groove a fastball.
And it's ball 4. The bases are loaded on back-to-back walks by Marco Estrada, who figures to be Milwaukee's number 2 starter in their rotation behind the very talented Yovani Gallardo. And then after that, a bunch of question marks for Milwaukee. Now, this is a team that just 2 years ago won 96 games. But they're sort of in that transitional period. Yes, they still have Ryan Braun and Corey Hart, even with the bad knee. And they still have some talent offensively, but do they have enough in the starting rotation?
Well, that's why last year they fell out of it. They ended up trading Zach Greinke over to the Angels. They got their starting shortstop there, and they think they've got a steal in that situation. But the funny thing, they fell out of it, and then they came back into play, and into the wild card race over in the National League for the second team with a bunch of young pitchers that really performed well. And they ended up losing out, but they did win 83 ball games. So now they're hoping that those young pitchers they brought up in that second half can continue it over this year, which is hard to do.
Michael Brantley with the bases loaded. Estrada working out of the windup now. And he dots the outside corner with a fastball for strike 1. Michael Brantley a season ago had that 22-game hitting streak. Foul ball, and it's 0-2. Brantley was off to a tremendous start this spring. He had 4 doubles right out of the chute. But then he was injured when He slid into a bag and got spiked, required more than a dozen stitches, knocked him out of action for a little while. Now the 0-2. And slowly chopped back to the mound. Estrada goes to home plate for the force out, and there are 2 down. Bourne erased. Bases remain loaded.
That must have been, I don't know, it was in a good location. I'm not sure if that was a changeup, but he topped the ball. And he just goes right to the glove and flips it over to Buller for the force out at home plate. So a chance to escape in this inning.
We'll get a look now at Mark Reynolds, who will DH this afternoon. Right-handed bat with plenty of power. Reynolds has hit a couple of homers this spring. And he takes outside for ball 1. Very close, but just missing. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, it comes back with a good changeup, and you're going to see this one just a hair low. Good pitches, but when you're behind 1-0, the hitter doesn't have to swing at it.
Down in the dirt, 3 balls, no strikes.
And I did say that's his bread and butter, that changeup, because that way you get hitters looking for it. You can throw the fastball by hitters up in the zone, mix in that breaking ball, but he is just doesn't have as good control here at this point.
Reynolds probably has the green light here if he likes it. But it's outside in ball 4, and the Indians draw first blood on a bases loaded 2-out walk as Reynolds picks up his 5th RBI on the spring.
Well, 3rd walk in the inning, so Estrada his own worst enemy.
And now Lonnie Chisenhall steps to the plate as Jason Kipnis accepts the congratulatory high fives. Chisenhall having a terrific spring, hitting .412, 3 home runs, 10 driven in. And Chisenhall hammers one to left. Schaefer makes the catch. Logan Schaefer hangs on, and the Indians leave him loaded, but they get on the board first. 1-0 Cleveland as we go to the 2nd. The Indians on top 1-0 as we move to the 2nd inning. Logan Schaefer, Gene Segura, and Taylor Green to bat for Milwaukee. And Ubaldo Jimenez delivers. Great bunt put down by Schaefer, and Jimenez throw not nearly in time.
Oh, baby. Put it in your pocket. Beautiful bunt.
Had a couple of guys go down on that play. Nick Swisher went down as he initially began to charge, and then Jimenez had a little bit of a slip when he fielded the ball as he let go of it.
That's just a beautiful bunt. You don't expect, I think, the number 5 hitter in a lineup to come lead off an inning early in the game. That's a beautiful bunt. Schaefer, I think, slated to be their 4th outfielder this year, but that was a very nice bunt.
Now Gene Segura came over from the Angels, part of the Zach Greinke package, and they really feel like this guy's going to be an impact player in the middle of the diamond. He's 23 years old. And if there is a knock on him, and there's always a knock on any player, a bit of a free swinger. No. I don't qualify to knock.
Well, it looks like he's from the Dominican Republic. He led winter ball in batting average this winter, and you can see why, because he stays on the baseball with the inside out stroke.
No balls, 2 strikes.
That ball got by him.
Runner goes, and on the hit note, bouncing it into right field. Nicely done by Segura, and all the way to third goes Schaefer.
Well, you don't know if it's a hit and run because it's an 0-2 count.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
So, you know, the runner takes off, and all of a sudden it vacates the hole. Kipnis is covering, and it was just a bad pitch by Jimenez. 0-2 count. It's a fastball up in the zone. Look where Martian's sitting way off the plate, and he got way too much of the plate and allowed him to at least put the bat on the ball. And it looked like a great hit and run, but the runner was taken off to steal. But he gets a base hit on an 0-2 count.
So with runners at first and third, Taylor Green, the DH, will step in. And taking off is Segura, and he steals second base uncontested. The second steal in as many innings for Milwaukee. Taylor Green's first 2 career homers came as a pinch hitter. A guy who can move around and play some different positions for Ron Renicky. And it gets away from Martian. It was in the dirt. He tried to block it, but really nothing he could do as the tying run scores. Logan Schaefer crossing home plate on the wild pitch.
Well, that's what he led the league in last year. That ball right there. I don't know if that was a splitter or went off the arm of Lou Martian. Nothing he could do. He tried to get a body on it. It deflected off. The runners will score. One will move over to third base now. Still nobody out.
Now the go-ahead run at third with nobody out for Milwaukee. And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Green chased the ball in the dirt. Second strikeout for Jimenez. 1 down here in inning number 2.
Well, that's a pitch that when he can control, it's a very good pitch. That one, it seemed like he stayed behind a little more. It was on the plate, and you can see the hitter just couldn't hold up. It looks like a fastball, and it's you know, the splitter that gets into the dirt. Martian smothered that one. Now you bring the infield in a little bit with 1 out.
Infield, not all the way in, but they'd like to cut down that run at the plate. Gene Segura, good wheels at third. Up and away, 2 balls, no strikes. Blake Lally trying to drive home the go-ahead run for Milwaukee. Pops it in the air. This probably won't get it done. Chisenhall makes the grab and foul ground for out number 2.
Well, join us for all the excitement at Progressive Field with the 2013 season ticket package. Season tickets give you access to the best seats at the lowest prices. And with a full season ticket package, you are guaranteed to be there for opening day against the Yankees. Just log on to Indians.com and you can check it out.
Two down and a runner at third for Milwaukee as Dayton Buller steps in, the Brewers catcher this afternoon. Ripped foul the other way. Jonathan Lucroy will be the Brewers' everyday catcher, but he played yesterday in the Brewers game in Glendale against the Dodgers. So here's Dayton Buller, who you see last year at AAA, hit .248. And he hit him with a pitch. So a mixed bag for Jimenez here in the early going. He's had some good, he's had some bad, he's had some ugly.
Well, this breaking ball just gets away from him, starts out, and he hits the guy you wanted to get out. You didn't want to flip that lineup up to the top of the order, but he's going to have to now with 2 outs.
Nori Aoki will come to the plate for the second time. An opposite field single to left in the first for Aoki. Brewers at the corners. Indians made a couple of roster moves before the game. And they also talked to some of the guys who are fighting for spots on the 25-man roster. They told both Daisuke Matsuzaka and Matt Capps, one fighting for a starting spot, one fighting for a bullpen role, that they would not make the club. But there is still an opportunity for those 2 players to stay with the organization, but they would have to accept an assignment to AAA, and there is a bonus money attached to that. But those are details that have to be worked out between Chris Antonetti, the Indians general manager, and the players' respective agents. But they like Daisuke Matsuzaka. They love to keep him in the organization to keep some depth for your starting rotation. And Capps, who came to camp rehabbing a right shoulder, has shown flashes, but not quite ready. Two balls and no strikes for Aoki. This inning started with a perfectly placed bunt by Logan Schaefer, who came around to score the tying run.
Well, yeah, in back-to-back innings, they had the leadoff man aboard. You're out of the stretch and having to work hard.
Line to left. Brantley on the move. Dives, and he can't make the catch, or he did. Yes, he did. Hold on. Brantley with a terrific diving grab toward the line in left field. Just did get the leather down in time, and we stay tied at 1. Beautiful day here in Goodyear, Arizona. Folks enjoying the ball game here, 1-1. As we go to the bottom of the second inning, Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, I in the booth. And let's go down to the Indians dugout, where we are joined now by Ryan Rayburn. Ryan, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Well, great to have you. And obviously, we've seen you before a number of times with the Indians' big rivals up in Detroit, the Tigers. And now as you come to this camp, well, what's the atmosphere like compared to what you've been through with Detroit, a team that obviously has had high expectations the last several years?
Yeah, it's you know what, I'm having a blast right now with these guys. You know, like you said, I've played against these guys for quite a number of years now, and I've seen the competition that we've always had to face. So I think it's going to be a fun year. You know, Detroit's still got a great team, so we still got our hands full.
Well, Ryan, you're in here battling for a spot, and you got off to a terrific start this spring, hitting the fastballs, hitting the home runs, hitting the long balls, but you got a chance to play left, second, or anywhere to get on this team, and probably looking forward to it, aren't you?
Oh, I'm chomping at the bit. You know, I really hope I make this team. Like I said, the group of guys they've got here, it's just been so much fun. You know, I haven't had this much fun in a while, so you know, it's just been a pleasure, and you know, like I said, hopefully I can make this team because I think it's going to be a great year for us.
Pitch from Estrada. Stubs a hard ground ball to short. Segura able to throw him out.
That guy can fly.
One away. Yes, he can. And that's about the only time you're going to retire him is when he hits a rocket right at somebody.
Yeah, man, for a white boy, he can move.
You know, and people don't realize he's about 6'3", 6'4", and yeah, he's very athletic.
Yeah, he's a big dude, man. He could probably play about any sport you put him out there on. He's very athletic.
Ryan, speaking of athletic, you've been able to make a career out of being able to play wherever you're asked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, how do you stay sharp knowing that one day you might be at second, you might be at third, you might be at short, you might be in the outfield?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you don't quite get as many reps as you would at one position, but you know, it's just one of those things. You just gotta. It's a little extra, you know, extra work. It's a little tougher. You know, you go out there and put as much time as you can, and just bounce around. And you know, it's just one of those things. You just hope it pans off for you for that game.
Will Larson lines one to center field for a base hit.
How many different gloves do you have, Ryan? How many do you carry in your bag?
I typically just carry two. I got the outfield and infield glove, but in the past I've had about 4 or 5. I've had an infield glove in there before, catcher's mitt.
Whatever it takes.
Exactly. You know, I got to do whatever will help the ball club and keep me on the team.
Well, one of the reasons maybe the Indians took a long look at Ryan Rayburn is the fact that at Progressive Field in his career, he's hit .298 there. You like hitting in Cleveland, huh?
You know, I try to. I try to hit as good as I can anywhere, but hitting there in Comerica, that's a little too big a ballpark for me.
Yeah. Unless you're going to right field, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan, you talked about this Indians-Tigers rivalry, and as good as Detroit has been the last couple of years, you know, last year in particular, the Indians won the overall season series against Detroit. So as good as they are, it shows you that, you know, they're not a super team. They're not invincible.
No, they can be beat. You know, almost last year we kind of showed it. You know, everybody really played well, and even Cleveland at the beginning of the year, man, they were just on fire. You know, I think bringing in some of these veterans to kind of show some of this youth, you know, how to do it for a whole season. You know, 162 games. But I can tell you from being on the Detroit, we always hated facing these guys, man, because they're just tough to play.
You know, I noticed when you get into, you know, your division and you start playing, you're playing each team 18 times. You've got to, you know, put up or shut up because you know you're going to face the boys, whether it's Verlander, you're going to get 4 or 5 times, or, you know, you go to Kansas City, and anybody can beat anybody in your division, I believe, and that's how you win a division, is going out and dominate your own.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, you know, like I said, it's 162 games, so if you can get them wins in the division, you know, it makes it a little bit easier. But, you know, this division, I think a lot of people doubt the abilities of the teams in this division. Man, there's some good teams here, and I think that's why it's so much more competitive, is because we're so tight and so evenly matched. So it just makes for better competition, I think.
Yeah, you're right. It does seem like because of maybe the big-name stars, the Josh Hamilton goes to the Angels, everybody wants to focus on sort of the West and they kind of overlooked the Central.
You know what? I think that in a way that's right. But when you look at the Central, Kansas City, they enhanced their team this year.
Yeah.
They got a couple of starting pitchers there in Davis and Shields, and that's going to be a lot tougher for them. And in Detroit, you know you're going to see some good pitching. And even though Minnesota, that's a question mark for them, like it is the Indians, it's going to be how the pitching goes.
Oh, it's always about pitching. You know, you look at the teams that were actually in it, you know, they all had pitching. So if we can just you know, if our pitchers can just give us a chance, you know, like I say, it's going to be a very competitive team that we got here. You know, we'll definitely have a chance. So it's just a matter if we put it all together and get the big hits when we need them.
Ryan, from your experience over the years, how long does it take a team to really come together, to gel? I mean, with so many new faces in this Indians clubhouse.
It actually came together pretty quick here. Like I said before, the guys they brought in, I mean, it's just a great group. I mean, everybody's having a blast. You know, Swisher keeps a lot, you know, alive. We got Giambi, you know, the seasoned veteran that's been there, done that, and you know, and then we got a lot of youth guys that just, you know, they just go out and play hard and have fun, and you know, like I said, if we can mix it in for 162 games, we're going to be very competitive. So,
all right, what was your role in the Harlem Shake video?
I was actually an Indian. Of all things, I was an Indian. So you couldn't see me much in there because I'm one of the smaller guys. So I was like standing in the back.
Well, that was fun, and I'll tell you what, the players, they patrol their own clubhouse, and they take advantage of it. But I'll tell you what, Terry Francona certainly helps spark it, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And for him just to join in with us, I think was it speaks a lot about how he is as a manager and everything. So I've enjoyed it, and you know, like I said, I hope I have plenty more games to be around and spend with this team.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with us, Ryan.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Ryan Rayburn. The Indians are out here in the second inning, 1-1 through 2.
Is it my imagination, or did the potholes get deeper this winter? Either way, there's nothing imaginary about our deals on steering and suspension service right now at Conrad's. Get up to $120 back on select shock and strut purchases. That's huge. Not sure if you need anything? Just stop in for a free steering, suspension, and wheel alignment inspection. And up to $120 off shocks and struts. With 33 locations, we make saving time just as easy as saving money. And you know where.
Christopher Ralph Perez, this feisty flamethrower from Florida, played his college ball days at the U of Miami. Then, 2 years after his 06 first-round selection by St. Louis, he was making his major league
Moving to the third inning, Ubaldo Jimenez to face Carlos Gomez, Ricky Weeks, and Aramis Ramirez. The right-hander worked a scoreless first inning, but then in the second, a leadoff bunt single by Logan Schaefer started it. And then Jimenez with a hit batter and a wild pitch. And the Brewers were able to package that all up to tie the game. Gomez struck out his first time up. Chased a high fastball. That time lays off the 2-strike high heater, 1-2. The slider gets him. Third strikeout for Jimenez. Let's go back and take a look at the defensive effort by Michael Brantley that ended the second inning.
Well, good thing he was a left-hander. The glove's on that right hand. It almost looked like he short-hopped it, but he got the glove there in time. And that's going to be, I think, a fun sight to see this year when you had Brantley, who played center field every day last year. He's going to be over and left. You have center fielders that can cover the ground. You're going to see, I think, a lot of plays like that this year from the Indians outfield. You know, you think is going to fall in for a base hit. If you can take a couple of base hits away, that pitching staff, it's going to certainly help.
One of the happiest guys on the Indians ball club when they acquired Michael Bourne was Nick Swisher.
Yeah.
Because he said, you know, I was tired of, in New York, they're always talking about how slow I was as an outfielder. Well, now I get to go back and play first base. I don't have to listen to anybody talk about my lack of speed in the outfield. Let the deer go run them down. They got some guys that can go get it now.
And he had to play in New York on that short porch. I mean, he had paint on the back of his uniform. He was so deep. I mean, that's just a short porch. Well, first base is his first love and his natural position, and that's why he likes it so much. So he was thrilled to death that they ponied up and signed Michael Bourne.
Chop foul. Well, Rick, three center fielders for the Indians in the outfield. Obviously, they're going to play left, right, and center, but all three are natural center fielders.
Yeah, that can play center.
I was reading a story about your former teammate Robin Yount when you guys played together in Milwaukee.
Right.
And when he bounced down into the left field corner, and Brantley will have to chase it all the way. Weeks going to turn and burn for third. Here's the relay, and they got him! Nicely done by Asdrubal Cabrera and Michael Brantley to get the ball to Chisenhall on time. And Weeks is out at third, and Ron Renicky will come out to argue on the close bang-bang play. But it did look like the ball beat him to the bag.
Well, remember, it's a short throw because you're down the left field line. And it gets down in the corner. Brantley doesn't have to, hurry it up. Just make a good throw to get to your cutoff man. You can see Cabrera gets it. They get over there, and he might have got the left arm. He gave him the phantom tag. Roll the right arm out. It was bang, bang. It was close. Indians get the call, and they get him at third base, but it was awfully close.
I can see where Weeks had a legitimate argument.
He pulls that right hand back when you're going head first. That third baseman comes in to tag you, and you pull it away from him, and he's got nothing to tag but the left hand, but it was awfully close, but a good relay.
Now Aramis Ramirez, who popped up his first time to the plate.
Give you a different angle here. Watch the right arm disappear. And he's safe by rights. And that looked like the left hand got on the bag by the time that glove came into his chest. But it is, that's slow motion, folks, and that's bang, bang. And when the ball beats you, sometimes that umpire anticipates you being out, and that's where you'll get the call. But it was a good slide, but Chisenhall kept the tag on him. So,
Rick, and I think that's what Ron Renicky did. He went out to tell the umpire, hey, look, during the regular season, don't just make that call. Wait
and see.
Yeah, that's a time to plant the seed.
That is true, because a lot of times, if you're an umpire, you're anticipating a play happening, and when you see the ball beat a runner, sometimes they will think, hey, looks like he's going to be out. Stay with it. That's all you can ask as a base runner, because when you go in sometimes and you slide like that, you can risk hurting yourself. But when you take an arm away, as a base runner, you can be safe a lot of times when you're called out.
No doubt about it. The payoff pitch. Strike three called, and Ramirez now upset with one of the men in black here today. So the inning comes to an end. Still tied at 1.
We're talking trucks in Northeast Ohio. Here's what people are saying about Ford.
22 miles a gallon for a truck would be outstanding.
What I really
1-1 our score as we move to the bottom of the third here in Goodyear. Jason Kipnis, Nick Swisher, Michael Brantley will be coming up for the Tribe. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you. And let's go down once again to the Indians dugout, where we are very happy to be joined now by the 42nd manager in Indians history, Terry Francona. Terry, how are you? Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, guys.
Well, how's the spring gone for you? A season away from the game up here in the TV booth, and now you've jumped back in with both feet, and you know, the guys seem to be very excited. There's a great atmosphere around the club. How's it been for you?
I would say it's been the same. I've been just as excited. I think the players have done a terrific job of just doing what we've asked. You know, come out, try to play the game hard, play with respect, and get better every day. So it's made it fun for the staff.
And you've got a number of new faces that are incorporating as players with some of the guys who've been here in years past, and you've got a whole new staff, save Sandy Alomar, that's working with these guys too. So there's a lot of getting to know you going on here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And again, we had the extra 2 weeks because of the WBC, and maybe that's good. You know, just give us some time to get together, not just on the field, but, you know, off the field, and to trust each other, things like that.
Jason Kipnis with a long fly ball to right field for out number 1.
Yeah, it does. But right about now, Terry, with 2 weeks left to go, it's about time to start. The only guy you're missing in camp now is Santana. Well, and Aviles, because they're both in the WBC. But this is about the time you start to ramp it up a little bit, isn't it?
You know what, Arch? This is where you see the position players starting to get a little itchy.
Yeah.
And you almost got to hold them back for a couple more days because they start getting not bored, but they're getting ready to go. But the pitchers aren't ready yet, so you have that little bit of a lull. But we do need to get Santana back so we can finish out, you know, all our plays because everything goes through him, right. And then we'll be ready to go.
Well, the good news is that Santana looks like he's had a very productive WBC. And obviously working with a lot of talented pitchers. And he's hitting in their lineup about where it seemed like I projected him to hit in your lineup.
Where was that?
Around the 7th spot?
Maybe one higher, but you're right. You're pretty close. But he's caught enough innings where he certainly hasn't lost anything. And the games he's played in have been pretty exciting games. So I'm sure it's been good for him.
Here's Nick Swisher. Walked his first time up. And a ground ball single in the right field. I know it's your first time being around Nick on an everyday basis, and you know, what's it like having him in this Indians clubhouse?
You know, and you guys have been around him. What you see is what you get. He's like that every day. I mean, he's enthusiastic. He wants to win. And, you know, when your best players, you know, are first when you do the base running drill, it sure makes it easy for the staff.
Well, and it is fun. When you're on a good team and a team that's going to win, your players pretty much control that clubhouse, don't they? And it takes a lot of pressure off you.
You know what, Arch? When you have to do it as a manager, I think it's considered micromanaging or overmanaging or panicking. And when the players do it, it's considered being a good teammate. And there's kind of a fine line there, but you're right. On every good team I've been associated with, you've had guys in the clubhouse that care enough about each other to police each other. And I see a lot of that in a lot of these guys here.
Brewers are making a pitching change, but since we have some extra time, we'll just keep it right here and continue our conversation with Terry Francona, who, you know, when you take the job initially, the national media perspective is, why this job, Terry Francona? After coming off the years in Boston, a couple of world championships, I think a lot of people expected you to wait for that big, super high-profile job, and you repeatedly said this was the only job I was interested in.
Yeah, I think maybe people that kept saying that didn't know me as well as they thought they did. This was really the place I wanted to end up because of Chris and Mark and the guys. It was a place that I knew I could come. I'd be comfortable working with guys that I not only really like but really respect. There's nothing better than coming to the ballpark. I mean, wanting to come to the ballpark, and we know we have challenges ahead. I mean, we realize that, but doing it with people that you care about, it's pretty fun to do that.
Well, people don't realize when you came back, you worked for Mark and that in the front office. And what was it, 2000 or 2001?
2001.
2001, and that's where you really, you started to kick it off.
And through Mark, I had met Chris, and we've been friends ever since. And it's hard not to respect the way they do things, and they're fun to be around. They're organized, and they make it fun for me. And, with the guys he's with, Cherney, and some of the guys that he's with, make me feel a little bit younger. I know I don't look it, but I feel it.
But the thing of it is, Terry, I mean, you've got your guys too. Millsies, who's been with you your whole life. You guys played college baseball together. I mean, you played professional baseball together. He was with you in Boston. Nice to have those guys with you too.
When we brought in Kevin Cash, and then we kept Sandy on, which I thought was huge. We promoted drafted Mike Sarbaugh from the organization. We kept Mickey from the organization. So we're new, but we're not too new. We have experience, but we have some youth. I love our staff.
This is a ball club that, because of all of the off-season moves, there's a tremendous sense of excitement back in Cleveland. People are very, upbeat, looking forward to this 2013 season. As you said, Terry, there are going to be challenges ahead. There's not going to be always the calm seas. Do you do anything to temper those emotions that fans have going into the season?
No, look at Mills. He's looking like I'm going to give him a sign right now. What am I going to do? No, you know what? I'm glad people are excited. That means they're interested. Again, regardless of what expectations are, we're going to go out and we're going to try to win every single game. And that'll never change regardless of who we're sending out there.
Well, Terry, thanks so much for spending some time with us here today. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you this year.
Okay, guys, thanks.
That's Terry Francona. Michael Brantley's double play ball ends the third, still tied at 1. Logan Schaefer will lead off the fourth inning for Milwaukee in a 1-1 ball game. Schaefer with a great bunt single and came around to score. The Brewers only run in the second inning on a wild pitch. Looks at a ball outside. It's 1-1. I want to get back to the point I was starting to make a couple innings ago, I think it was. But this Indians outfield, very talented, very gifted. 3 center fielders in this outfield. I was thinking back to your time in Milwaukee when you were in center field and Robin Yount was moved to left field because of the injury that he had. It was a shoulder injury, I think, at the time?
Yeah, had some back issues and things like that.
So they moved him to left field, and he said the best thing that happened to him at your expense was when he stepped on your foot and broke your toe.
My toe.
Knocked you out of the lineup. They moved him to center, and he said by playing center field, everything kind of crystallized and came into place. He thought he was more comfortable. He could see the ball coming off the bat. For him, it was much tougher in left than it was in center.
Because he was a natural shortstop, and you're in the middle of the diamond, and you get that view of home plate and the ball. It's almost like watching it on TV. So he did step on my toe on purpose. He told me that later. And, I didn't want to go on the DL because I knew back then when I was at the Brewers, look, you got Yount and guys over there, you don't go on the DL but unless you don't want to play. Well, they says you're on the DL. Robin, you're in center. Manning, you're done.
Worked out well for him.
Well, worked out well for me, too, I guess. I got out in time.
What did Yount end up playing, like 19 years or something?
Oh,
in the big
yeah,
leagues?
and they were all with Milwaukee. But he turned into a very good – he won a Gold Glove at short and in center field. So, I mean, Robin, who lives in the Phoenix area here, he was going to play there anyway. It's just a matter of time.
Taylor Green laces one into center field, and Michael Bourne tracks it down. And Green with the Brewers' 4th hit today. 2-out single.
Well, single game tickets this year are on sale. You can buy early and save on seats for 4 replica jersey giveaways. The Jason Kipnis jersey, it'll be presented by KeyBank. The Michael Brantley will be presented by Sugardale. He'll also have a Nick Swisher and a Michael Bourne night. So log on to Indians.com promotions for the details.
Jimenez fires, and it's up high. Do you feel like that if you can play center, you should be able to handle either left or right?
Well, no, because center field, to play there, you've got to be able to cover the ground and cut off the alleys, and have a strong enough arm to make sure you hit your cutoff man everywhere. But I think it's easier as far as picking up the baseball. Left and right, the ball hooks and slices on you, more so in left than it does right field. But in right field, you can play deeper because right-handers drive the ball to right center better than left-handers do to left field. So you get more duck snorts, as Hawk would say, little chinkers that fall in front of you, that off the end of the bat that slice on you in left field. But with Brantley being a left-hander out there, it helps him go into the line. So if you got Bourne in center who can cover left center field, that's going to work out beautifully. And you know what? It's going to take a while to get to know each other. But if you go by the old rule of thumb, where Michael's in charge, he's the captain because he's in center field, he takes everything until you don't hear him. But you have 2 other guys also with that mentality. You know what I mean?
Well, we're going to have to get with Brantley because remember he told us with he and Bourne both going by the first name of Michael.
Well,
they wanted to make sure that there was no confusion.
Well, you don't call yourself by the first name. You make sure they'll work it out. But the good thing about it is every guy will be aggressive, wanting to catch the baseball. Being an outfielder, you're just going to have to make sure that. And I'm sure they will do it. It's fun. But you know who else has all center fielders? I was thinking about this and looking at rosters is the Angels. When you got Trout, who played center all day, and they got Borges coming back, and you got Hamilton who signed. So there's 3 center fielders as well that'll be able to cover some ground out in the American League outfield.
3-1 pitch, runner goes, and it's hit high in the air to deep center. Bourne back, still going back on the track at the wall, high off the fence. Brantley there to back it up, but scoring the go-ahead run is Taylor Green. And Blake Lally with a tie-breaking 2-out RBI double to deep center field has Milwaukee in front 2-1.
Well, that ball carried a long way, and it was a good job of Michael Brantley coming all the way from left field to back him up because Bourne, with the sun, watch him go all the way back. He thought he could catch it. It ricochets off the wall and it bounces past it, but look who's right there. That's good hustle by Brantley coming all the way from left field because he only gets a double. The run was going to score anyway with 2 outs. But it's a nice job by Brantley to come all the way over and back him up.
Nice piece of hitting by Blake Lally to drive in Taylor Green. Lally now at second base. And the number 9 hitter, Dayton Bowler, who was hit by a pitch his first time up, cuts and misses. 2-1 Milwaukee here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The top half of the 4th inning. Back out of play. And a ball loose in the outfield. So momentary break in the action, and Lou Marson will go out to talk with Jimenez.
What, it's a fan throw that out there in right center? Couldn't have gotten out from the bullpens.
No, it might have been somebody playing catch out there in the outfield. Two down, runner at second. 0-2 pitch. Checked. Did he go? They appeal no, says the first base umpire.
He's done that a couple of times today. When you get 2 strikes, he goes down, drops his arm down a little bit more with the breaking ball to try and get the guy to chase it. Again, he was able to check it, stay alive in the at-bat.
Nori Aoki would be next, should Buller keep the inning alive for Milwaukee. And able to lay off a tough slider, and the count is full.
Now it comes back with a good breaking ball. He just lays off it. It's off the dish. I didn't like the 1-2 pitch, that fastball. That really meant nothing. Didn't set up the next pitch at all.
And the 3-2 is ball 4. So 2 out, bases empty, and now 3 straight have reached for Milwaukee, and it's the 7, 8, 9 spots in the order. Brewers now on top 2-1, and Nori Aoki, the leadoff hitter, to the plate. Took a sensational effort by Michael Brantley to retire him his last time up. He singled in the first.
Yeah, this ended the inning on a nice catch, diving catch by Michael Brantley to get out of the inning. He knew he got his glove underneath it.
Missed outside, 2-0.
Yeah, this is an inning for Jimenez where you get the first 2 out and you're facing the bottom part of the lineup, and all 3 guys have reached. They end up tying it up. It's an inning where, as a pitcher, you certainly want to go out there and you need a 1-2-3 inning once in a while. Get the offense right back in there. You can see he's at 65 pitches, but to let the bottom of the order again roll it over to the top with 2 outs.
Popped him up foul ground near the dugout. Over is Chisenhall. Does he have room? He does, and he makes the catch over the railing to retire the side. But Milwaukee strikes back. The RBI double by Lally has the Brewers on top 2-1. To 1 Milwaukee, bottom of the 4th inning here in Goodyear. And Ron Reineke goes to his bullpen for the first time today. Marco Estrada went 3 innings, allowing 1 run on 3 hits. And now left-hander Tom Gorzalani coming on. Left-hander last year with Washington. Boy, what a season he had, Rick. 45 appearances and an ERA of just .288. So a terrific job by the big left-hander who goes 6'2", 210. He'll come on to face Mark Reynolds, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Drew Stubbs for Cleveland. Hey, tonight at 9 on the MLB Network, stay tuned for the World Baseball Classic semifinal game. It'll be the Netherlands against the Dominican Republic. You can see Carlos Santana of the Indians playing for the DR. He's done a terrific job behind the plate. And then the winner of that game will move on to play Puerto Rico in the championship. And then, Rick, it'll all be over on Wednesday, right? Is that, or is it tomorrow?
So. They start tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Win, lose, or draw, we'll see Carlos Santana back in camp here with the Tribe by the end of the week. That's what it all amounts to, and then that'll give him the weekend and then all next week to get himself reacquainted with the staff and ready to go for opening day. Mark Reynolds, an RBI, his first time up when he walked with the bases loaded. His 5th run batted in on the spring. Pitch outside. 3 balls, no strikes.
He hasn't seen a strike yet today, has he? Walked in his first at bat on 4 pitches to drive in the only run, or to walk in the only run for the Indians. 3-0 here.
Caught the outside corner. 3-1 the count.
Ooh.
And he caught the umpire on the follow through, and the umpire goes down. That's
hey, now I've seen a guy let go of the top hand with the bat and hit the catcher. I've never seen the umpire get hit. Watch this. Holy smokes. And he doesn't wear the helmet under that mask. He's just got a hat. This guy is really lucky. Look at the extension come down and caught him on the end, and that's it's like getting a hit in the head with a little hammer.
Well, at least on the replay, it didn't appear that the bat struck him on the head. It looked like it caught just the front of the mask, but still.
I don't think I've seen the catchers. It happens a lot to catchers. That's why they all wear the helmets back there. But no, that's an extension right there that got the umpire. What's your name? I don't know. You tell me. He doesn't know his own name. Wow.
It looks like it just caught the mask and not, as you said, Rick, without wearing a helmet there. If that barrel caught him on the top of the head, it would have knocked him into next week. But even with the barrel of the bat nailing him in the mask, it has definitely given him reason to step back and gather himself.
Whoa. You could see that was quick. It was direct. And now they're just doing a few tests. Michael Salazar out of the Indians dugout to talk to him. He looks like he's okay, but they just want to give him a little extra time and make sure.
Well, with everything that we've learned through sports medicine the last several years with regards to concussions, you tend to now side, with caution.
Absolutely.
I mean, if there's any doubt at all, you want a guy to sit down, because if you take a foul ball, a direct hit on the mask, that could really cause you some problems now if you've already taken a pretty good hit.
Well, it looks like it got him on the side of the head. They're looking for that little bump there. I'm sure that is there. If they have any questions, he'll be removed, I'm sure.
Well, as you said, Michael Salazar giving him the.
Okay, there he goes.
And I think that's going to be it.
Going back out to get his gear.
Yep.
So he'll call it an afternoon, I'm sure.
Certainly
and,
unfortunate,
rightfully
no reason
so.
to take a chance.
No, not at all. I mean, that is a first for me.
We've seen umpires take foul tips, foul balls, but I don't think we've ever seen one hit on a follow-through swing.
No, because they're farther back than the catcher, for goodness sakes. But let's hope that Patrick Mahoney's going to be all right.
Which leads me to ask the question, do you think he was a little too close then?
No, I just... Reynolds let go of the bat, man, at the top hand and extension. He's comfortable. He's been there all day. Look, he's not leaning over the catcher by any means. He's sitting on the inside part of the plate, I think. And some umpires will sit on the other side away and guess him, but he's on the inside part of the plate. And maybe that is what enabled the extension of that backswing get him. Look, he's trying to follow him now, and that's not fun.
Well, Mark Reynolds is a guy who has struck out 200 or more times in 3 straight seasons in his career. I asked him earlier this spring if he ever got tired of people mentioning of his strikeouts and talking about that, and he said, you know, not anymore. He said, I know who I am as a player. I know that's part of the deal. And I think the key for him, Rick, is that playing for managers who also understand that. You're not going to play for a guy who says, hey, I need you to cut down on your strikeouts. That's not who he is.
And that's not in today's game anymore. They don't care as much about strikeouts as they once did. And when you can put up power numbers, where you look at the numbers, the home run numbers that he can put up. I mean, last year he had 23, and it was in more of a limited time getting plate appearance than it was in the past. This guy can hit it out of the ballpark. He's got as much raw power as anybody in that lineup.
All right, we're going to take a timeout while the umpires readjust the rotation. They'll get somebody suited up to call the balls and strikes. When we come back, it's Milwaukee 2, Cleveland 1 here in the 4th inning.
Subscribe to MLB TV. It's premium today, and watch over 150 select spring training games live, plus every regular season game live or on demand on over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit Indians.com for your details.
Just waiting now for the new home plate umpire to dress out. There in the Indians dugout is Bruce Dreckman.
Is he on the air after the show today?
That's Bruce Brennan.
Oh, I didn't know Bruce was up it today.
I believe it was Tony Randazzo who went to the locker room to get the gear, so I think that's who's going to take over as the home plate umpire. I'm being told now it was Jordan Baker who went to don the gear. So we're waiting on Jordan Baker to get the gear and head back out here onto the field. The Indians got on the board in the bottom of the first. Jason Kipnis scoring on a bases loaded walk. Mark Reynolds got the RBI. Milwaukee then tied the game in the second inning. Logan Schaefer with a leadoff bunt single. He came around to score on a wild pitch by Ubaldo Jimenez, and then Milwaukee took the lead 2-1 in the top half of this 4th inning on a 2-out RBI double by Blake Lally. Mark Reynolds leading off the bottom half of this 4th inning, and if you just happen to tune in, you're wondering why are we not playing baseball. On the follow-through swing by Mark Reynolds, his bat caught the mask of the home plate umpire. Patrick Mahoney was dazed, and after they took a look at him, they decided to send him to the showers. And now we're just waiting for Jordan Baker to don the gear, and he'll take over behind home plate. Let's get you up to date on what's happened with the Cleveland Indians roster moves. This is what happened before the game today. Juan Diaz was sent back to AAA Columbus. Terry Francona said he really liked the defensive actions of Juan Diaz. He's a big kid at 6'4" and a switch hitter, and he really thinks he'll continue to develop and become a much better player. Cedric Hunter, another outfielder, Gilmet, Langwell, Martinez, all reassigned to minor league camp. So 44 players currently on the major league roster, and if you missed it earlier, we talked about it. They also talked to Daisuke Matsuzaka and Matt Capps and informed both of them that they would not make the 25-man roster, so that they will not be going with the team to start the year in Toronto. So the situation now becomes where they will talk to their agents and see if they will accept a AAA assignment. There would be a roster bonus amount of money that would be included. I believe it's $100,000 because of their number of service years already. And so hopefully they will be able to work that out and keep both of those guys.
Well, yeah, depending on if he thinks that another team may have any interest in their player or pitcher. You have to wait and see. But, you know, every team is going to be in the same boat. You know, when you're cutting down, trying to get down to that 25-man roster, still you have some time left. You also have Rule 5 guys that you have to figure out, are they going to make this team, or do you have to offer them back to their team? Every team goes through the same scenario come spring training. It's a tough time, but they pretty much have an idea what they want to do. As now he has changed into his home plate gear. They have to bring it just in case.
Jordan Baker will take over as the home plate umpire and will work with just 3 umpires now for the remainder of the game. In most spring training games, you only have 3. Fortunate that we had 4 umpires here today. But this was Patrick Mahoney and why he left today's game. Watch the follow through.
Boom. Oh boy. I mean, it was a direct hit and it stunned him. That's the wise thing. You know, so now it is a 3-2 count. He left the ball game. I'm sure they'll go and take a look at him, and hopefully everything's going to be fine. So Jordan Baker now behind the plate. There's nobody out. 3-2 count to Mark Reynolds. So they'll go out and get loose again, almost like the start of the inning. Maybe we should start every inning like this. 3-2 count, and let's see the pitcher throw a strike. How about that?
Well, that's kind of like the rules I saw in the World Baseball Classic. If you go past the 12th inning, I think if you go to the 13th inning, they start with runners at first and second base.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Has any game ever gone past 12?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. This is the way to go. 3-2, nobody out. All right, I'm ready to go. Hitter comes back. They had to get out of the sun. So we will re-rack it here. Bottom half of the 4th inning.
Now here comes Mark Reynolds, and as you mentioned, Rick, a 3-2 count. Now you may notice that Jordan Baker, he's got the hockey style mask, so his head is fully encased. The payoff pitch, chop foul. Lonnie Chisenhall waits on deck. 3-2 pitch. Chop to third. Ramirez flings it over. 1 away. Here's today's Web Minutes, brought to you by FoxSportsOhio.com. There are 2 weeks left before baseball begins, and the Indians are still sorting out the final 25-man roster. Tony Lastoria will have all the details. With the Big Ten Tournament Championship trophy secured, the Buckeyes now look ahead to Friday night's game against Iona. See what Thad Matta has to say about Ohio State's chances. And the brackets are set for the Ohio High School Athletic Association State Championships. And you can see all those matchups online right now. 2 down here in the 4th as Chisenhall flies to left for the 2nd time today. And it will bring up Drew Stubbs, who grounded to short in the 2nd inning. Takes a strike. You know, Rick, yesterday when we were televising with our partners from Cincinnati Reds, Chris Welsh mentioned that, you know, maybe a change of scenery was the best thing that could happen to Drew Stubbs after the struggles he had in Cincinnati. Terry Francona was asked about that today, and he said, you know, I don't think it's about a change of scenery, because I think he was perfectly happy in Cincinnati. He liked being there. He said, I just think, you know, it's a case where he's got to find his rhythm, and he found his rhythm on that swing deep off the wall and right. And Stubbs will pull into second base easily with a 2-out double. And Terry Francona saying that with Stubbs, it's all about, you know, rhythm and being on time in the batter's box and not getting caught in between. And he said, if you start thinking about the strikeouts, then all of a sudden you're looking for that perfect pitch to hit, and you maybe let one go by that you should have been hacking at. He got one up in the zone that time.
He
and took
did.
it for a ride.
Fastball up and away. He let it track deep into the zone and drove it. That ball halfway up on the wall in right field. Stayed on it nicely. 2-out double for Stubbs. That's a tying run aboard now with 2 outs. See if Marson can do anything with him.
Loose single to center his first time up. Gorzolani fires, and it's high in the air. Left field. Schaefer makes the catch, and the inning is over. 4 complete from Goodyear. It's Milwaukee 2 and Cleveland 1. Now there goes Patrick Mahoney with Indians trainer Michael Salazar. He'll get checked out. He appears to be fine, but obviously you want to take no chances, especially in a spring training contest. 2-1 Milwaukee as we go now to the 5th inning. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you, and we're joined now by Indians general manager Chris Antonetti, who has had quite an off season, a very busy, a very active off season. I go back to the winter meetings when we had all those discussions in your suite with the media, and there really wasn't anything going on, but there was behind the scenes that just didn't get a lot of coverage.
There was a lot going on at that point, but we weren't to the point of completing anything.
Yeah. Line drive down the left field line, foul ball. When did things start to really pick up? Was it soon thereafter?
It actually predated the winter meetings. We had a lot of trade discussions, especially leading up to the winter meetings. And at the winter meetings, we spent a lot of time with agents talking about a number of free agents, Nick Swisher, Michael Bourne included.
Obviously, when you got the manager, though, in place, Terry Francona, that sort of gave you some clarity as far as what direction you were headed, and how much did that help when you started talking to those free agents?
Well, it had a huge impact when we were talking to the free agents. In terms of direction, though, that really wasn't part of it. I think we were confident that no matter what decisions we made this winter and what decisions followed, Terry was the right leader for us.
Lonnie Chisenhall takes care of Carlos Gomez. Route number one.
You know, Chris, for every deal made, how many more hours do you spend on the phone and deal with everybody else trying to work things out or put together a 3-team deal and things like that?
I would say for every one deal that gets done, there are probably 100 that don't.
Yeah, that's a lot of work behind the scenes that nobody sees.
I try not to think about that often because then otherwise it's kind of a discouraging process if you think 99 out of 100 times it's not going to get done.
True, but I mean, yeah, you get into that, and people don't understand how much goes into, and hopefully you do get one that you're going after.
Especially on the trade front, we had hundreds and hundreds of trade conversations involving a lot of different players, and ultimately we were able to get a couple done. But there were a lot of conversations that we had that ended up not coming to fruition, but laid the groundwork in a couple of cases.
When you bring in a third team to a deal, how difficult is that as well? But when you do, you specifically go after one player.
It's really difficult to make a two-team trade. When you add another team, it gets exponentially more difficult. But I think in the case of the deal we executed this offseason, it was a combination of just each one of us understanding what the interests were of everyone else.
Weeks with a high pop to center. Michael Bourne gives way to Michael Brantley, who had a good beat on it the whole way. And that's out number 2.
And so in that case, we had talked about a lot of different variations of similar concepts, but it wasn't really involving 3 teams. And actually, once Cincinnati re-engaged on Shin-Soo Choo and expressed their interest in him and thought that he could play center field, that allowed us to line up the pieces relatively quickly at that point because we obviously had extensive conversations with Arizona leading up to it.
Saw Michael Bourne give way to Michael Brantley in the outfield on that last play. Most everyone who followed the Indians thought you were done after Nick Swisher and most of the moves you've made. When you signed Michael Bourne, everybody was really stunned. At what point did you know that you had a chance that you legitimately were going to be able to offer him a deal to land him?
Really not until the end. There were a number of things that had to come together. First, we had to align on the right value for Michael. And earlier in the offseason, it's a guy we had interest in dating back to last year, but through the conversations with Scott and even at the winter meetings, we just never aligned on value, and we ended up going in some other directions and signed Nick Swisher and made some other moves. But when Michael was still available, we stayed in touch, and really because of ownership. And ownership really extended far beyond what we thought was possible. After we signed Nick Swisher and to be able to bring in a guy like Nick and how well he fit with our team, we thought that was the team we were going to go with. But ownership really extended far beyond what we thought we could do, and that's what allowed us to bring in Michael Bourne.
Ubaldo Jimenez gets a nice strikeout of Aramis Ramirez and has a 1-2-3 inning for the first time today. We'll continue with Chris Antonetti next.
We thought you were done.
Back here in Goodyear, Milwaukee leads by a score of 2-1. And in the bottom of the 5th inning, top of the order, due up for the Tribe. Donnie Murphy taking over for Aramis Ramirez at third base for the Brewers. Michael Bourne or Asdrubal Cabrera and Jason Kipnis due up for the Tribe. Indians general manager Chris Antonetti staying with us here in the bottom of the 5th inning as Bourne checks on a ball up high. So as we come down the stretch here, about 2 weeks left to go until we start the season. We had some roster moves today. I've been trying to articulate to our audience the conversations you had with Daisuke Matsuzaka and also with Matt Capps, essentially saying you're not going to make the ball club. We like you guys. We'd like you to stay with us. But now you have to work out the details to see if that can happen. Is that correct? There you go, I think.
Okay, better?
You're on now.
All right. I thought you cut me off.
They did.
Had enough of me already. That's
they
okay.
tried to cut you off. It's unbelievable.
So you summarized it pretty well, Matt. Both guys are in camp on minor league contracts. We got to the point in camp where it looked like neither guy was going to be an option for us to start the season, but we saw enough and with them that we wanted to keep them in the organization where they could potentially contribute at the major league level for us, but just not on opening day. So we're in the process of working through that with our agents and seeing if we can find a way to make it work.
Bourne with a fly ball to left center. And that's grabbed by Gomez for out number 1.
You know, there's talks here that possibly we could go to a 13-man staff as opposed to 12 like you would normally have. And for once this year, we open up, and what do we have, about 12 games before we have an off day? You know, we open up on the road, and I can see that conceivably happen. If that happens, what takes place there if you have to go to a 13th man?
Well, it really starts with the position player club. We have to, you know, the way our roster is currently constructed with our, you know, our everyday lineup and then a guy like Mike Aviles on the bench, we have a decent amount of versatility. And depending upon who else fills out that bench, if it's a guy that can play multiple positions, can play the infield, can play the outfield, it may open up that opportunity for us to take advantage in having another pitcher. Especially as we start the season and, you know, our pitching staff and our starters especially are still getting their legs underneath them. You know, that may be a direction we go. But a lot of it stems from who ends up making the team on the position.
Asdrubal Cabrera with a base hit between the hole on the left side of the infield. And the Indians with 1 on 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Chris, how down to the wire will some of those roster decisions come to? I mean, will you wait till a couple of days left? Will you want to have everything kind of buttoned up with a week to go?
Our preference would be to do it sooner rather than later, but I think a couple of the decisions will come down to the last week or the last few days. So the one thing we've tried to do throughout camp, and we did it again today, is as soon as we had any clarity, we tried to inform the guys and let them know where they stood.
Well, it's going to be key for your starting rotation to get off and give some innings early, because normally we break camp and we only go with 4 starters. With off days, you send a guy back here to get a start in, to get his work in, and you don't need him. Well, this year is going to be a little different, and our first 2 weeks of the schedule is going to be awfully tough.
It's very tough. Normally, actually, as you said, Rick, because you normally, if you open up with outdoor teams usually want to have the opening day, then have the protection for the following day in case it gets rained out. So you usually have an off day following it. This year, with going to 2 domes in Toronto and Tampa to start the season, we don't have that. So we play straight. And as you said, it's important for us to get some innings out of our starters so we don't overtax the bullpen early. Something that happened last year, and it wore on the bullpen after all, but that happens to any team. If your starters don't consistently give you 6 innings, I'm looking at 6. If they give you anything more than that, it's a bonus. They do that, your bullpen can stay strong for most of the year. Right, and then you end up using the guys you want to use in certain situations, and you don't have to ask guys to pitch in, maybe situations where they shouldn't be pitching, and just to eat up some innings. It doesn't take long for just once through the rotation. If a couple of guys get bombed out early, then you need that long man. That's tough to fill in because it hurts you for a while, doesn't it, throughout the course of the week? It is, especially if you have a staff that doesn't have a traditional long man. You have to use a couple of guys that day. It then has an impact for the rest of that series, and that impact kind of lingers on for a few days. Kipnis sends one high in the air, left field. Schaefer makes the catch, 2 down, and Cabrera holds at first, and that will bring up Nick Swisher with 2 down and a runner first base. Chris, we saw Justin Masterson yesterday in the game against Cincinnati. Struggled early, but then settled down and pitched well. Ubaldo Jimenez, kind of a little bit of everything here today, but obviously showed some good signs. What are you looking at
that's tangible that you can say, here's why he'll be better this year than what we saw a season ago?
I think for any starter, we want to see him just heading in the right direction as camp continues to unfold. And I think the thing that we've emphasized consistently with all of our starters is pounding the strike zone, throw the ball over the plate. And I think Ubaldo's had some moments today where he's been a little bit inconsistent, but for the most part, he's done a good job throwing strikes. And I think he walked one guy, I think, today, and only had a couple of walks coming into the game. So he's done a much better job with that. And if he can do that and throw the ball over the plate more consistently, his stuff is still good enough for it to be very effective at the major league level. But you can't pitch consistently behind the count and can't give up too many free base runners.
Yeah, he's got to find a way to minimize the damage in the innings. Like, the one inning today where he got the first two guys out and he let the bottom part of the lineup get it, at the end. That's where a pitcher's got to really come back. But he's settled in. His last inning was a breeze. He has good stuff. The breaking ball when you get ahead, and he's got a good fastball, and he's got a good splitter.
Confidence is so fickle and so frail sometimes.
Being aggressive in the strike zone, it's something that Mickey is. We emphasized a couple of years ago with Tim Belcher, and I think Mickey kind of wanted to re-emphasize that with the staff, and it's been a consistent theme from day one. Let's attack the strike zone.
Nick Swisher walked in the first. He singled in the third. Batting with a runner at first, 2 down here in the fifth. Tribe trailing it 2-1.
Yeah, you tell your pitchers attack the strike zone. We've got some guys that can run it down if they hit it in the air. Don't worry about it. Let your defense go to work.
It's a big part of it.
It really is. Making a pitcher, no, you can't. Yep. You can't defend the walk, and especially with Ubaldo, he has a tough time with the running game because they're going to take off and try and steal on him. But yeah, let them put the ball in play. Let your defense work.
Jack Hanahan did a nice job helping the mentor Lonnie Chisenhall at third base last year, and even before that. You get the feeling that Lonnie's ready to kind of take over now and be a guy you can count on every day at third.
We do feel that way. I think he's actually been one of the highlights in camp. He's been unbelievably consistent offensively. He's put together quality at bats using the entire field. He had a home run the other day out over the 380-foot sign in left center field. Followed that up with a double down the right field line in his next at bat. So he's come into camp. He's worked hard in the offseason. He's come into camp ready to go, and he's had a very good start.
Key for Lonnie is to stay healthy. He's been hit his last couple of years, and he's missed some time. He's got some pop in the bat, and I think it's time for him. If he stays healthy, he can impress a lot of people.
Michael Brantley 0 for 2 today. Takes a strike now with 2 on and 2 out, and the Tribe down 2-1. Well, the nice thing, too, with this roster that you've constructed in the offseason, for Lonnie Chisenhall, you want to give him that opportunity. You want him to play. But should he have a spell here or there, you've got a Mark Reynolds that can pick him up, or if it's a tough lefty, you want to give
Micah Vilas.
You've got Micah Vilas. You've got veteran guys who know how to handle those sort of part-time roles.
Well, one of the things we wanted to do in addition to improving the everyday club was try to improve our bench, and we feel bringing in guys like Micah Vilas, we've been able to do that because he has some versatility. He can play multiple positions on the infield. When we want to give Asdrubal a day at shortstop, we don't feel like we're giving away too much there, and that versatility should help us not only take advantage of matchups, but be able to keep some of our other guys fresh.
Vilas is a guy that can go to a corner outfield position as well against a tough left-hander.
He can. He can play really all over. He'll play some short, second, third, and could even go to the corner outfield if we need him to.
Brantley lifts one out of play to the left, and of course we had Ryan Rayburn on earlier today. He's a similar player and a guy who can play all over the infield and yet versatile enough that, not that you're going to play him for a month in the outfield, but he can certainly go out there and help you there as well.
He can. He's one of the guys, as we were talking earlier, that provides that versatility.
Right.
That, if you have a bench with he and Micah Vilas, that gives Terry a lot of different options and a lot of different protection at a number of positions. So Ryan's had a very good camp. Again, put together consistent quality at bats. He's played some second, played some third. He's also played pretty well in left field and right.
Gorzolani checks the runners, and the 1-2 with the runner heading toward third, and it's fouled out of play. Cabrera got a pretty good jump, but he'll head back to second.
Well, he might have been looking in out there and might see a breaking ball or something to take off in that situation to get to third base. Of course, with 2 strikes, 2 outs, he's going to try and score on anything. But you know, the defense has a tendency, they play back, trying to knock everything down. That's the tying run.
Up high. Chris, I know as a general manager you have to stay focused more on the big picture than the day-to-day, but when the season ended last year, on the last day of the season, could you have envisioned on that day where you are here today? I mean, with such a drastic turnover and the enthusiasm and the life and the energy that's been injected into this organization.
Maybe not with specific players, but you know, we had high hopes for the offseason. We weren't sure exactly how it would come together, but our goals were pretty clear. We wanted to improve our competitiveness in 2013 without compromising our future. And in an ideal situation, improve not only 2013 but improve the years to come. And as we reflect back, starting with the move with Terry, who we for a lot of reasons feels the right leader for us, and will do an exceptional job in that role. And then a lot of the moves we've made, not all of them, but a lot of the moves we've made, we feel will not only impact this year but impact us for years to come.
Brantley steps away.
But I do think it's important, again, that part of what was, or a big part of what allowed us to be able to make the moves we made, even the trade for Drew Stubbs and Trevor Bauer, where we included some cash in the deal to get back the players we wanted, has been the unbelievable commitment for ownership and the investment they made.
Close pitch. Michael Brantley is rung up. And the inning comes to a close. Tribe strands a pair through 5. Milwaukee's on top 2-1. Chris, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thanks, guys. My pleasure.
Indians general manager Chris Antonetti will be back. We go now to the 6th inning here in Goodyear, Arizona. Milwaukee leading the Indians by a score of 2-1. Ubaldo Jimenez returning. He's got a few pitches left under his belt here this afternoon before his day will be over. Logan Schaefer leading off 1 for 2 with a bunt single and a run scored. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you, and let's go down once again to the Tribe's dugout where we are joined by Michael Bourne, whose day is over. Michael, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate the time.
No problem, no problem.
How's this camp gone for you? New team, new surroundings, new contract. Everything's new for you in your world.
Yeah, everything is new for me. Everything was changed from last year. So, I'm getting adjusted to everything. Camp is going good. We coming together as a team, and, I'm having fun out here in Arizona right now.
Well, that's the big thing, and Rick and I have talked about it up here in the booth. With so many new faces, so many new players, it does take a little time for a team to gel and come together, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's always. I'm pretty sure these last couple of weeks we're going to start playing together a lot more. Today was the first time, not the first time, but, we all together. We got off day tomorrow, and we got to play again today. And, just being the same dugout at the same time with each other, and just, sit back and well, after that umpire went down for a little bit, we always over here talking about the game and all that kind of stuff. So it's always good to get together with your teammates and just get that chemistry going.
Michael, how long will it take now with you and Michael Brantley in left, and you got Drew Stubbs? All you guys can play center field, but you're going to be the center fielder. How is it going to be for you to take charge and get to know each other out there?
I think it'll be okay. I think it won't take long, man. We we all play center field, but we always know how to communicate good.
Right.
So we always been the captain out there, and we had a play today where I couldn't see the ball, and me and Mike we communicated just fine, and
Well, in left center where Michael took it because you'd be running it into the sun, right?
Yeah, I ran into the sun, and I yelled at him as soon as the ball was hit, and he told me, he said, I got it, and we communicated just fine right there, and we work on it in drills during practice early in the daytime, and it's been fine so far, man. I'm just excited to see what can come out of it with all the speed we have out of there.
Michael, check on Ubaldo, make sure he's okay.
He all right. He'll check it out.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too because you're the captain out there. You take anything you can get, and if you can't get it, then the other two will. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna just try to make plays behind our pitcher staff and help them as much as we can.
Michael, the same thing I suppose applies in the batting lineup. When you get on base, whoever's hitting behind you, do you need sort of that understanding, that chemistry to know, hey, give me a couple of pitches, or knowing the situation when you like to run when maybe you don't want to?
Well, the thing is, man, I really don't like the dude behind me to just take pitches and worry about me running. I feel like I'm going to get mine regardless whether you're taking or not, because I feel like the pitcher, he's not going to throw strikes all the time anyway. So I pick my time to go, rather him be aggressive, because then the pitcher can't just lay one in there and try to, worry about me running. The more he got to worry about him, the more I can be effective on the base pass. But sometimes the hitter always wants to tell me, man, go ahead and run. Go ahead and do what you need to do. But I mean, it works both ways. If he's not paying attention to me and he's paying attention to the hitter, then I can go. If he's paying attention too much to me and he leaves one over the plate, as Drew, if he's hitting behind me, can take him deep. So it works hand in hand to me.
That'll all come out in the wash with at-bats and games played, won't it?
Yes, it will.
Well, and I think that's a good point that Michael makes. I mean, we focus a lot on the stolen base because that's a kind of a sexy number in baseball. But he can score from first on a gapper.
Yeah,
if his dribble's hitting behind him and he finds a gap, he can score from first base. So it doesn't always have to be the stolen base every time he gets on.
Yeah, man, it's all about scoring runs. The more runs you can score, the more your pitcher staff can relax and pitch their game. And, you give them a comfortable lead. And, you can save your bullpen later on in some games, that you get ahead and you keep pouring it on. So, it's a lot that goes into it, So, it's a lot of detail that's paid attention to that a lot of people that's doing the game don't know what's going on. But inside this dugout, we know what's going on.
Are you looking forward to playing in the American League?
Yeah, I am. I know it's a different league for me, different pitchers. I know some of them, just for playing in the league, but it's going to be a whole different feel to me. But, I think it'll be fun. I'm enjoying just take that double play right there.
Nicely done.
I think that I'll get used to it, and my teammates gonna help me out for who I don't know, and we just gonna try to come together and try to have a good season, man. That's it.
Well, Michael, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate your time. Best of luck to you this year.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
That's Michael Bourne. It's Milwaukee 2, Cleveland 1. 2-1 Milwaukee, bottom of the 6th inning here in Goodyear, Arizona. Mark Reynolds, Lonnie Chisenhall, Drew Stubbs due up for the Indians. Tom Gorzolani staying on for a 3rd inning of relief work for Milwaukee. 2 scoreless innings. He's allowed 3 hits. Mark Reynolds sends one high in the air, deep right field. And that is out number 1. We're getting to that part of the game, Rick, where wholesale changes are being made.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll probably have a bunch for the Indians at the end of this half inning. I saw Michael Bourne exit with some of his teammates.
Well, normally what happens when you're playing against a team you're not going to play during the year, the manager says, okay, boys, you've spent your day. Get out of here. You don't have to. If you've played, the guys that have played, they're gone. Get the rest of their work in. Pitchers are gone. If you're playing against a team, they usually have to stay and watch the whole game.
Lonnie Chisenhall looks at a ball outside. 2-0 the count.
Trying to think of who else we can have on, or who haven't we had on today. Of course, we had Terry on back in the, was that the 3rd or the 4th inning?
I think it was the top of the 4th, wasn't it? Or the bottom of the 4th.
Speaking of Terry, his dad, the real Tito, is here today as well, is in for the week. He's sitting behind home plate taking the game in.
Still lives in New Brighton, Pennsylvania.
Yes, he does. Had his best years with the Tribe back in the 50s, early 60s.
Looking forward to making a few trips over to Progressive Field this year. Probably more than a few.
Every weekend he'll be there. Terry won't be able to keep him out of his office.
There's a great picture in the Indians media guide this year of a father-son event at the old Cleveland Stadium. And there's little Terry Francona at age about 3 or 4 and Dad Tito behind him.
With all the dads, yeah, and the sons in uniform.
Ball 4, walk to Chisenhall with 1 out here in the 6th. That's going to be it for Gorzolani. Let's get a look at the new lineup for the Brewers now. Rene Tassoni is in left. And they've got Logan Schaefer moving over the center. And Caleb Gindel is now in right field. And then on the infield, Messias, Davis, Murphy, Lally stays in. And we've got a timeout for the pitching change. We'll be back 2-1 Milwaukee here in the 6th. New battery now for Milwaukee. Alfredo Figueroa takes over on the hill for the Brewers, and Robinson Diaz is now behind home plate. There are Figueroa's number from last year in Japan. He'll face Drew Stubbs with a runner at first and 1 out here in the 6th. Drive down 2-1. Stubbs 1 for 2 with a double his last time up.
Went off the right field wall. Drove the ball the other way very well. It was a 2-out double. Was stranded in the 4th.
2-0 the count on Drew Stubbs. And Stubbs banged it off his leg, and he went down in a heap. And out comes Terry Francona to check on him, and immediately he didn't hop around. He went right to the ground.
Yeah, I don't know if that got him in the leg. It's usually in the foot they hobble. He goes straight down. That was off the toe, I think.
Toe or the ankle, Rick. It was hard to see on the monitor.
There you go. Check his foot. Ooh, how about above the ankle?
Yeah.
That'll be numb for a while. That was above the ankle.
Huron, Ohio, well represented here in Goodyear, Arizona. Dave Brown, Dave Ritter, Helen Link, Sam Thaxton, all checking out the Indians here in Goodyear. So we've seen a lot of folks from Ohio who've made the trek to the desert to watch some spring training baseball.
Well, I had a buddy of mine show up here, Ray Fanta, with his boy and a couple of friends.
Drew Stubbs with his second hit of the day. Base hit in the left field. Chisenhall stopping at second base. So the Indians with 2 on and 1 out in the 6th.
Not a way to do it, Drew, because you get a base hit the next pitch and get through so you don't have to run hard. Hobbled on to first on that ankle. Well, the Tribe now with first and second and 1 out. Tying run in scoring position for Marson. He had an opportunity back in the 4th.
Tyler Holt will run now for Drew Stubbs at first base. Marson fouling it back. Lou singled in the second, fly to left his last time up. Big bouncy ball on the right side of base hit. Coming around third. Chisenhall's going to be waved home. Gindo's throw will go towards third. It's offline. And the Indians have tied the game on an RBI single by Lou Marson. His second hit of the game. His first RBI of the spring.
Well, you can see him push the ball the other way. He was shooting for the hole, and he found it. It was a nice job. Scores Chisenhall, who got the 1-out walk. You see, he wasn't trying to do anything but pound that hole over there in between first and second. So it's a tie ball game. Holt goes all the way to third base.
Ezekiel Carrera will bat here for Michael Bourne. Bourne 1 for 3 today with a base hit back in the first inning. And a called strike in the outside corner. You know, under normal circumstances, Rick, a guy like Ezekiel Carrera would probably be in a great position to earn a spot on this roster. But because of the 3 center fielders that are already here, and Nick Swisher essentially being a 4th outfielder, and Aviles and Rayburn being able to play an outfield spot in a pinch, it really kind of leaves Carrera on the outside looking in.
If it was last year, it was a different story. But this year is a different situation. And I guess timing is the key for anything.
Tried to bunt, but rolls it foul.
For a guy, though, coming off the bench, I mean, he might be able to help somebody. He's out of options. So if he doesn't stay with the Indians, somebody will have an opportunity to pick him up. But, I mean, I don't see him sticking with this ball club at the end, to be honest with you, especially now with bringing into the equation where 13 pitchers may stay on this ball club. It all depends. Last year when he came up here, it was if Michael Brantley ever came down, he would be the backup center fielder, you know, and now you don't have to worry about that.
Trying to break the tie here. The 1-2 pitch and a base hit into right field. Tyler Holt scores the go-ahead run. Marson stops at second, and Carrera delivers. And the Indians now lead it 3-2.
Shortstop, Luis Hernandez.
Got a breaking ball. The ball was down. He had maybe a little too much of the plate. See where the catcher was going down and in with it. He may have wanted that ball a little more outside, but he was able to pull it in the hole. So 3 straight singles after the walk, and the Indians retake the lead 3-2 and a chance to add on.
Now Luis Hernandez. Kind of a half swing. See his numbers last year at AAA. Ball down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Chopped it off the dirt right in front of the plate. And that will be out number 2.
Well, single game tickets are on sale now for this year, and they have a couple of bobblehead nights from some old tried favorites, some that we all remember. Albert Bell will be June 1st. That'll be presented by Medical Mutual, and then Omar Vizquel will be July 8th, presented by Key Bank. So go to Indians.com and check out the schedule.
Brings up Cord Phelps. Will get his first at bat of the day, taking over for Jason Kipnis, who was 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And runners at second and third with 2 down. Phelps has had a very good camp. The Indians feel that, you know, he's come to camp a little more relaxed and a little more confidence. Terry Francona said, I like the fact that, you know, he's been very willing to move around and play different positions, and he said we're planning on working him some at first base as well. And Terry really believes that his bat will play. He thinks he's got a good enough bat that he can help at the major league level. The question is you know, where does he fit on a ball club? And right now he's trying to fit wherever the need would arise. So that's why he's been playing third. He's been playing second. He'll play some first. Three balls, no strikes. There is Vinny Pastano, back from the WBC and ready to get back.
Yeah, he wants to get in a ball game because his last outing did not end well in the WBC, and you know, so I just want to get back out to the mound and pitch again.
Yeah. Meantime, Phelps 3-0 and called a strike. Not sure Cord felt that caught the plate.
Well, gives you a chance to hit, man. Let him call the strike. Look for another fastball you like and hammer it. You don't want to walk. Especially when you got two guys out there to drive in.
Couple of steaks, right?
Yes, sir. Give me those ribeyes. I want me a couple of steaks right here.
Robinson Diaz goes out to talk with Figueroa.
I mean, you keep it simple because you're 3-0. First base is open. So as a hitter, you're saying, all right, you throw my fastball. If you don't get the fastball, you take it all the way. And if you get it in your zone, then you swing hard.
Indians have gone in front with 2 runs here in the 6th inning. The first was charged to Tom Gorzolani. The second charged to Alfredo Figueroa. That's outside and ball 4. The bases are loaded. The second annual Wise Cleveland Women of the Year and Scholarship Luncheon is being held on May 14th. At the Q, Wise is honoring Stephanie Tolleson and Sherry Foxman. For tickets, visit wisecleveland.com. Bases loaded, and Chris McGinnis will get his first at bat today, taking over for Nick Swisher. Chris McGinnis was a Rule 5 selection by the Indians out of the Texas Rangers organization. '51 career homers in 4 minor league seasons. Roped, but fouled on the right side. He's got good power, and you can see why the Indians are certainly interested in the possibilities, but the question remains, can they work out a deal to keep him here? Otherwise, they have to offer him back to Texas.
I hope they do, because I like this kid from what I've seen from him this spring. I think he can bring something to the table here for the organization. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see if Texas has a fit for him, but we'll see later in the spring.
The 0-2 swung on and missed. The inning comes to an end, but the Indians take the lead with 2 runs in the 6th. 3-2 Cleveland. Three-two Indians on top, 7th inning. Now on to pitch for the Cleveland Indians is Vinny Pistano. He's the 3rd Cleveland pitcher to work here today. Look at the numbers from a year ago. 70 appearances, 3 up, 3 down, an ERA of just .257.
Yeah, a terrific job last year. You know, 2nd in the league in holds, and you know, he got tired as the year went on. He hit about probably a 1-month period where he was a little upset, but I think that at that time The bullpen was a little burned out because the starters didn't protect him long enough, but he did a terrific job, and it's tough on right-handers.
Defensively now for the Indians, Ryan Rayburn in left, Carrera in center, Tyler Holt is in right field, McGinnis at first, Phelps at second, Luis Hernandez at short, and Matt Antonelli takes over at third. And a strike called on Blake Lally. Pistano up and away with a pitch. Three runs on 8 hits, no errors for the Indians. 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for Milwaukee.
You know, I was talking to Vinny yesterday and had the opportunity. He was really upset with the way he pitched there in the WBC, knowing, although it was his 7th outing of the spring, he told me, but you know, to get in, you think of the intensity. He said that game was probably as loud as anything he's ever heard. And when it was down in Miami against the Dominicans, he was a little upset at himself because of the walks. You could see, you know, if you give up a base hit, it was first pitch. His teammate, Mike Avila's got the base hit to keep it rolling. Or that was against Puerto Rico I'm talking about, not the Dominican.
That was the elimination game.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who it is. When you're in that situation, you know, you are pitching for Team USA, and it does carry, I think, a little more weight in that situation. You feel like when you fail, you've let down not just your teammates, but you've let down so many more people. And I thought it was very appropriate of Tom Brenneman yesterday to say that nothing could be further from the truth. People are proud of the fact that Vinny Pistano stepped forward and said, I will pitch for Team USA, and I think they're appreciative of that. It's unfortunate he just didn't have a good outing. But knowing Vinny, he'll use that to stoke his fire.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you come down, people, you're just getting ready to start the season, and it is a high-intensity game. It is playoff time when you're playing in one of those games. You can't tell any one of those players between the lines that it's March, and, you know, you're just getting ready. That's full-out baseball right there. Playoff atmosphere.
Boy, what is exhibition season is far from exhibition baseball in that WBC.
Boy, you're not kidding. But like he said, he told me, yeah, it was an honor to represent this country in that WBC, and he hopes to do it again.
Hot smash, and it skips by McGinnis at first base, and Lolly's going to try to go to second. Here's the throw, and they got him. He is out from me to you. Boy, Tyler Holt easily guns him down.
Well, a situation there, down a run, late in the ball game. You have to make sure you can get there to second base and in scoring position. You're starting the inning off. It was a deflection. Now, it's all on him. The ball is right there. He can pick it up. He's not blessed with good speed, so he probably should have stayed put. Because by the time Holt throws that ball to second base, look at him. They have a cup of coffee and read a newspaper before you apply the tag.
He probably thought it was a great idea until he got about halfway there, and then he realized,
what am I doing?
What did I do? And please, somebody get this piano off my back.
Yeah, I'm sure they're talking to him now.
Dayton Buller started the game behind the plate for Milwaukee. He was hit by a pitch and walked. Now the first at bat for Robinson Diaz. And he lines one the other way for a base hit.
Doesn't that always happen?
Yeah.
Well, the Indians are rolling back prices on your favorite ballpark food this year. You can get $4 12-ounce domestic beer, $3 hot dogs, $2 soda refills, and they'll have $1 hot dog nights 15 times throughout the course of the year. Go to Indians.com. They'll also have lower prices on nachos, pretzels, popcorn, and more.
Caleb Gindel trying to fight for an extra outfield spot on this Milwaukee ball club last year at AAA. He had a solid season, but a back injury cost him a September call-up. That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. This is definitely Vinny Pistano trying to fine-tune his game. Normally when he comes in, he is a strike-throwing machine. Finds the zone there. It's 2-1. Two balls and 2 strikes. Caleb Gindel, 24 years old, not a big guy at 5'7". Out loop towards third, and it's caught by Antonelli for out number 2. Was that on the trademark or on his thumb?
That was on his thumbs. That was deep into the kitchen right there. You talk about getting inside. He's got to fight this one off, and sometimes you swing at that ball, you don't know where it goes. It got so deep in there.
Brandon Macias gets his first at bat today. Pretty good numbers at A-ball last year for Macias. Checked on a ball down low, 1-1. Swung on and missed. He chased one there. Macias attended Flagstaff High School here in Arizona. Went to the University of Kansas. He's actually bounced around a lot of different places. He lines one to center field, and it's caught on the move by Ezekiel Carrera to end the inning. Stretch time in Goodyear. The Indians 3 and the Brewers 2. 3-2 Indians, bottom of the 7th inning. We'll see Ryan Rayburn leading things off for the Tribe. Just another gorgeous day here in the desert. Looking at the extended forecast, looks like about the next 10 days, more of exactly the same.
Well, it's finally back to Arizona weather.
Don't you ever get bored?
No. No, you really don't. But, you know, reality comes in. You end up coming back and spring hits. You know, it's spring today, isn't it? Or is it, no. I think tomorrow's the first day of spring.
Strike call to the outside corner. Ryan Rayburn, who joined us earlier here on our telecast down in the dugout, hoping to make this club as a utility player. Slowly chopped off the mound. Nice athletic play by Figueroa. Wow.
You talk about that quick as a cat. Boy, that kid got off the mound. That was like a swinging bunt. And he got all the way over to the third baseline. Watch how much ground he covers here on this topper. Rayburn gets a good jump. He gets over here, backhands, plants, makes a strong throw. Very good play.
Matt Carson gets his first at bat of the day. Taking over for Mark Reynolds, who was 0 for 2 with a walk and a run batted in. That smashed to right field. Caleb Gindel makes the grab, 2 down. Fox Saturday Baseball returns with 3 great matchups as Angels outfielder Josh Hamilton goes back to Texas to take on the Rangers, or the Yankees battle the defending AL champ Tigers, or the Cardinals take on the World Series champion Giants in a rematch of the NLCS. The debut of Fox Saturday Baseball is April 6th. And as we mentioned, just 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be in Toronto for the opener between the Indians and the Blue Jays. Joe Smith getting loose in the Tribe pen. Indians have an off day tomorrow. And then Rick and I will be back on the air with you Thursday night.
No, is it a night game or a day game?
Thursday's the day game. Friday's the night game. Yeah, Thursday in Talking Stick. We'll bring you the Indians and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That'll be a Thursday afternoon start.
Friday night.
Friday we'll be back here in Goodyear for a night game.
Yeah, we'll be doing our first road game here ever.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be
outside of Goodyear,
televising from the Diamondbacks home ballpark in Talking Stick, which is in Scottsdale. 2-out walk to Matt Antonelli keeps the inning alive.
And then Friday night's game, 10 o'clock start. We'll get you used to some West Coast baseball early in the year. Although we won't make a trek out to the West Coast for quite some time.
Is it not till August we come?
Well, that's when we play we go to play the Angels is in August. We go to Minnesota, then Oakland, LA, but we go once earlier, where we go to Minnesota and then Seattle back in July after the All-Star break.
Tyler Holt, the batter, mound meeting right now going on. Tell you one thing, Rick, when you look at the Indian schedule right out of the gate, it's going to be robust. You've got Toronto, then Tampa, then you come home for 4 against the Yankees.
Yeah.
You get the White Sox for 3, the Red Sox for 3. Then you go on the road, Houston, who's now a member of the AL West, then to Chicago to face the White Sox before going to Kansas City for 3. So that first month of the season will certainly be a tester.
They're all testers. You know, you get it started, but long homestand early in April.
Well, as we've learned from the last couple of years, a good start is nice, but you have to be able to finish.
Right. You always want to get off to a decent start. Well, especially when you have new players. But, we'll see. Every year is different. I hope they can get off to the good start like they did last year and just continue.
It's funny when you think back, the Eric Wedge teams
could never get off to a good start.
One time, 07, they had got off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think the only one other time did they finish above 500 or at 500 in the month of April.
But they always finished strong, always came on strong at the end. The Maniacta team seemed to get off to good starts, but just kind of ran out of gas. You'd like to find that consistent medium, wouldn't you?
Yeah, win about 15 games a month. There's Tim Belcher, former pitching coach, with Jason Beret there with the sunglasses on.
Swing and a miss. Tyler Holt strikes out and the inning is over. 7 complete. It remains Cleveland 3, Milwaukee 2. Broadcast is presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. (3-2) Cleveland on top, 8th inning here in Goodyear. Joe Smith now coming on to pitch for the Indians. Get a look at Joe Smith's numbers a season ago. Very effective out of that Tribe bullpen. Joe slowed a little bit this spring with a strained lat muscle, but feels like he's in pretty good shape. I don't know if it was a lat or an oblique, but it was a problem with his left side. But he says, hey, having the extra time with this spring training is certainly beneficial in order to get ready for opening day. One away.
Well, if you remember the year that when he had a very good year, remember he hurt his oblique muscle and ended up starting the year on the DL, and he came back, and the only place for him to pitch was in that 7th inning, and ended up doing so well. I mean, it really did. It slowed him down. Hopefully he'll be fine for the year, but that's what got him going into that 7th inning role.
Good point. Here's Donnie Murphy.
And the thing that's made Smith so effective the last couple of years, he's been able to get lefties out as well as getting right-handers out.
Bang that off of his foot. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes that bullpen to recreate that bullpen mafia, because they have lost a couple of guys. Sip is gone. He was traded. He'll be in the National League. Rafael Perez, ouch.
Murphy drilled. He'll take his base with 1 out.
That ball looked like it got him right in the back pocket. Sure did. He was checking to see if he was carrying his wallet there. See if he checked it into the valuable box. That's one way to get on base. Not the way you want to, though.
Logan Schaefer, 1 out of 3. A bunt single and a run scored back in the second. Popped up, foul ground. Antonelli ran out of real estate. Milwaukee, a ball club I mentioned earlier that just a couple of years ago, a 96 win team. Last year, they made a late season surge, got themselves back into the race, but ultimately wound up out of the playoff picture. But just 2 years ago, they drew 3 million fans. But I was looking back in 1983. That was the year you got traded to Milwaukee, wasn't it?
Right. We drew 3 million there.
2.3 million that year, and that was a new attendance record that year for the Milwaukee Brewers.
In 83? Yeah, they were coming off the World Series in 82.
Correct. Catch made in left field by Ryan Rayburn. 2 down. Hey, the Cavaliers are back at the Q tonight, taking on the Indiana Pacers. Tip-off with Cavaliers Live at 6:30. That's Jeff Phelps and Campy Russell. They'll break all the X's and O's down for you and get you ready for the play-by-play with Fred McLeod and Mr. Cavalier Austin Carr, plus Allie Clifton. They'll bring you all the action at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Ohio. That 1983 season, which you were traded over there, and they had just a terrific run, a lot of fun with the fans. Also, that same year, Don Sutton would strike out Alan Bannister as the ball gets away and the runner moves down to second for his 3,000th career strikeout against the Indians on June the 24th. Became just the 8th pitcher in Major League history to reach the 3,000 strikeout mark, did Don Sutton. And the reason I bring that up is I saw a note earlier today. Don Sutton had 58 career shutouts. That's 9th best among Hall of Fame pitchers. Nice catch made by Ryan Rayburn to retire the side. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It remains Cleveland 3, Milwaukee 2. here in Goodyear. Vinny Pistano able to work a scoreless inning along with his teammate Joe Smith, so they retire for the afternoon. And there's Michael Olmstead, who spent last year split between Salem and Portland. Pretty good numbers. I mean, you go 47 games and your ERA is 1.52. Only gave up 1 home run in almost 60 innings. Olmstead will face Omir Santos. Omir Santos was a guy who homered yesterday for the Indians in that comeback 7-7 tie against Cincinnati.
That was what, their second tie of the spring, I believe.
Yep. Check. Did he go? The appeal, he did not. Michael Olmstead goes 6'6", 245 pounds. California native. Good slider, and down goes Santos for out number 1.
Now join us for all the excitement this year at Progressive Field for the season ticket package this year. Season tickets give you access to the best seats at the lowest prices, and with a full season ticket package, you're guaranteed to be there for opening day. That'll be April 8th against the Yankees.
Oh, and down goes Carrera. He got drilled.
Well, there's nothing there that Carrera could do to get out of the way. Yeah, that's right off the knee. He couldn't do anything to get out of the way. Ouch. That's exactly what you heard, that ball deflecting off his knee. He will remain in the game.
Shortstop, Luis Hernandez.
So a runner at first. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Now Luis Hernandez. Grounded to second his first time up. Down in the dirt. Good block by Robinson Diaz. From 2008 through 2012. So you're talking 5 seasons. Francisco Rodriguez logged 148 saves. That's 7th most in the major leagues. And now the former Milwaukee Brewer is sitting out there without a job.
Yeah, that's hard to believe, isn't it? I mean, when he went over there, you know, from the Mets, wanted to close, wasn't the closer, turned into a setup guy at times because they had
Jonathan Axford.
And then that was their problem. Part of Milwaukee's problem last year is why they went south, is because that bullpen couldn't hold the leads.
Carrera takes off, and the ball is fouled away. Now, Jonathan Axford is pretty legit in his own right, because over that same time frame, from 2008 to 2012, Axford has averaged almost a dozen strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. That's 3rd best in the major leagues. So
Well, good stuff, but he just had a tough year last year when it comes to saves. He did have, what, 35 saves, I believe. But, yeah, like you say, Rodriguez is sitting out there unsigned. It's like Jose Valverde, who was perfect 2 years ago with the Tigers. Last year, roughed up a little bit, and they wouldn't even use him when it came playoff time.
Kyle Loesch, who's not a closer, but a starting pitcher, also sitting out right now, unemployed.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't check it there.
No 1-2. A little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Attaboy, here we go.
Well, it just goes to show you, too, Rick, that as a player, or whether it's you or your agent, you can sort of price yourself out of the market. You know, if you ask for too much.
Well, I guess, and I think in a situation like Kyle Loesch, it's the #1 draft pick that they lose if you sign him.
Carrera with an easy steal of second base. He's in a scoring position with 1 out. Well, there's the financial consideration and the draft pick. Right. It kind of goes hand in hand. If I'm going to give up a #1 draft pick, then I want a guy who I think is a proven front of the rotation, kind of a stud type pitcher. Is Kyle Loesch that guy? I know he's very good, and last year he had a terrific season, but that's probably what teams are weighing. Is it worth what we're going to give up to go out and sign that guy and give him the financial package on top of that?
Still, the Cardinals would be the fit because they wouldn't lose a draft pick.
That's true.
You know, and I think once they made their offer to him and he did not accept, and obviously it didn't stand up.
And they probably feel from a negotiating standpoint like they've kind of got him over the barrel. Like, nobody else is going to give up their #1 pick for you, so why wouldn't you take our offer? Be interesting to see on all of those guys that we mentioned, Rodriguez and
what
Valverde,
happens here?
When and if somebody comes calling. Caleb Gindel makes the grab in right field, and Carrera holds at second to bring up Cord Phelps, who walked his last time to the plate in the 6th inning. We were mentioning earlier in the game that offensively Milwaukee should still be pretty good. Obviously it's going to come down to keeping their guys on the field, Corey Hart, but you've got a Ryan Braun go with Weeks and company. They should be able to score some runs and be dangerous. I didn't realize, because we don't play them very often at all, how good Ryan Braun has become as a hitter. Phelps fouls it away. We see Miguel Cabrera,
one of the best hitters going. Right.
We see Miguel Cabrera. Well, I didn't realize Ryan Braun had 68 two-out hits last year. That's 4th best in the majors. We saw the guy who got the most, Miguel Cabrera. So Braun's not too far off of where Miguel Cabrera is. You get those 2-out hits; those are the tough ones.
Well, then you start asking yourself, geez, how many times did you want to pitch to him? Well, obviously they must have had to.
Yeah.
He is one of the best hitters in the game. We don't get the opportunity to see him play 18 times a year like we get a Cabrera or some of the better hitters in the league. And it's fun to watch good hitters hit in situations when they can beat you. When they're in your division, you end up go ahead and walk them.
Cord Phelps awaits the 1-1. And that's back out of play.
But that's a good way to look at it. We get to see Cabrera play. We don't get to see Braun play, and they are very typical, similar hitters. Use a lot of the field. They have great power, and they're good 2-strike hitters, good 2-out hitters.
And then they've got Corey Hart, who over the last 4 years, if you take his runs scored plus his runs batted in, subtract the home runs, that's how many runs he's produced? 523. That's 8th best in baseball. Phelps lines it to right field. That's going to be extra bases. Coming around third and scoring is Ezekiel Carrera. Phelps on his way to second. He won't stop there. All the way to third. A 2-out RBI triple for Cord Phelps, whose fantastic spring continues. Came in hitting .306, and that gives Phelps 5 runs batted in on the spring. It's his 6th extra base hit.
Well, breaking ball looked a little flat or middle of the plate, and you talk about 2-out hits. That's a big one right there because it gives him an extra run here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Makes it a 4-2 ball game. Speeds up his bat a little bit on the breaking ball. Phelps gets all the way to third base.
And now McGinnis sends a lazy fly to center field. Logan Schaefer grabs it, and the inning is over. But Cord Phelps producing an insurance run for the Indians. 4-2 Cleveland as we go to the 9th. Ninth inning here in Goodyear. And Scott Barnes will come on to pitch for the Indians, left-hander. Appeared in 16 games last year at the big league level. Held left-handers to a .200 average.
And a guy looking to make this team as far as the left-hander goes. Between him, Hagedorn.
Well, the other guy is Rich Hill.
And Rich Hill, correct.
And
3 of them.
I think Rich Hill probably is more of your situational lefty, whereas Nick Hagedorn would be, your earlier left-handed guy in a ball game. And I think Nick's a big, strong kid who could give you multiple innings if needed.
Right. But he's more of your power guy, more than your matchup guy. He can strike you out. Between Barnes and Hill, would be matchup guys.
Barnes missing with his first 3. Chris Davis, an outfielder, taking the strike. Scores are high on this young man. He hit .349 at AA and AAA combined last year. 12 homers, 47 driven in. Ubaldo Jimenez started this game today for the Indians. And I think the good news for Jimenez, when it was all said and done, is he had just the one walk. He did hit a batter. He had a wild pitch, but he had 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, he stayed around the strike zone a little bit more, and you know, he bent, but he never broke. And it's something that, you know, proven upon every time out. As Chris Antonetti said, we had him on. We want to see him continue to throw strikes, and you know, if he can minimize certain innings and certain things and damages to control the innings, he'll be fine. So overall, not bad. Went out there, although he did leave the game, even though it was coming out of pitch count. The last hitter drilled one off his leg for a base hit.
Though when he walked off, he appeared to be just fine. No ill effects. Sean Halton, his first at bat today. Swung on and missed. And a strikeout for Barnes, 1 down in the 9th.
Come back, you'll take a look at the last hitter that Jimenez faced. It's a ground ball off the right foot. Look, he was looking up in the air like it deflected. It went over to first base. Francona goes out. He was going to come out of the game anyway because he was going into that inning going to throw 10 pitches, but you can see him smiling, talking to Michael Salazar on the way out, and everything was done, and he was happy with it.
Robinson Diaz, like Sean Halton, who just struck out, a little over anxious, trying to get after it with the bat.
That's what a lot of young hitters do. After you walk the leadoff guy, you come back, you still have to make that pitch or get in the strike zone. I don't care if it's spring training or not. But you get a lot of, you know, younger hitters and guys that are filling in and minor leaguers late in the ball game. They don't want to walk. They want to impress somebody. They're sitting up there saying, I want to get a base hit to tie this game up or to get it going.
Ron Renicky, Milwaukee manager. Five all to right. Holt backpedaling, makes the catch. 2 down. Top of the order, and Caleb Gindel 0 for 1, line to third when he was jammed on a pitch back in the 7th inning. Outside, Davis trots down to second base. No stolen base given there.
Nobody even moved. They acted like that he's not even out there. He is invisible.
You know what? It's one thing to be indifferent. It's another thing to just ignore someone. That's just not right.
That's what they did. I mean, the infielders never even budged. The catcher didn't look. They just pretended he wasn't there.
The 1-1. Swung on and missed. And now Scott Barnes 1 strike away from finishing this one off for Cleveland. Checked. And it looked like he held up.
Well, remember, we went back to 3 umpires, and the third base ump is right behind the pitcher's mound now. So he did check his swing, didn't go. Tried to get him to chase the breaking ball. Get another one here.
Strike 3 called, and the game is over. Gindel rung up to end it, and the Tribe takes it by a final score of 4-2. The Indians, with that victory, go to 14-8 on the spring. Milwaukee falls to 8-12. But more importantly for the Indians, you get through the game, and other than the line drive off the foot of Jimenez, and he appeared to be just fine, you get through it healthy. And that's for Terry Francona and for Chris Antonetti and company. That's what you're focused on now. You want to get your work in, get through the rest of these games, and try to get to Toronto as healthy as you can.
No question about it. But You know, they come back and win a ball game. It's always nice to win a game in spring training. I know they really don't count when it's all said and done, but you certainly do want to put a W in the win column.
So the Indians win it by a final count of 4-2 today here in Goodyear. We'll be back with some final thoughts right after this.